Hello, my name is Geogen, and welcome back to World of Warships. I'll be doing another ship review today, and this time we have the subject of the Cleveland, the Tier 6 American cruiser. And it's a cruiser I very much like to play. It's probably one of the strongest cruisers in the game, especially mid-tier. And if you're in a battleship, you're going to have quite a hard time if you don't get rid of these very quickly. Destroyers, as well, should be aware of this monstrosity and the rate of fire. Anyway, of its 12 guns. But stick around, I'll tell you about the strengths and the weaknesses of the ship, or its lacking features per se. But let's begin. To begin with, we have 35,200 hit points, which I did check before this, is more than that on fully upgraded over, which is the Japanese Tier 6 cruiser, and that has 30,500. So a few more 1,000 hit points to play around with, that will serve you well. You can take more hits and do somewhat more reckless things against enemy destroyers and cruisers, but 35,000 hit points won't last too long if you get citadel 3 times, say. Anyway, the armour, 13mm to 127 on the citadel, round here in the middle. Forward and after ends, 13mm. Nope, that's 16mm. Gun casemate is also 16mm. Oh no, it's only 3mm more than I said. So, relatively lightly armoured. However, I have played in several battleships of several tiers, from tiers 5 to from tiers 3 to 6, in the closed beta and in the open beta as we are now. And I have often over-penetrated the armour, doing very little with my AP. However, the HE doesn't do the amount of damage I would like, so sometimes you just have to hit it square on, like this. If it's angled like this, often your shells will just bounce. Like this, again, they'll bounce. Like this, there's more chance for it to go in, but dead on like that, it's not 100% chance to go in, but it is the best chance. If you're in a battleship with a large caliber gun. Anyway, moving on from the survivability, we go on to the main feature of the Cleveland, and that's the artillery. 152mm main batteries. These turrets with 3 guns in each. There are 4 of them, 2 in the front and 2 in the after ends. The rate of fire is outstanding for these main guns, and I'll go back to that in a moment. Secondary armament wise, you have these very nice dual 127 turrets, and they also act as AA, another outstanding feature about the Cleveland. So, the firing range of the main battery is 14.6 kilometers, which is quite good, but of course you will be outranged by battleships, so you do have to close the distance a little bit. I wouldn't close the distance too much though, because your armour is more effective at range, of course. The main stats of the gun, when I have fully upgraded it, if we take a look at the modules, I've chosen to use the second upgrade. If you look at the first upgrade, the rate of fire goes down by 1.5, so to 6.1 rounds a minute, but your turret traverse is faster at 15.4 seconds. Whereas on this you have 7.6 rounds a minute and 20.4 second rotation. Some players prefer to have their guns on target a lot quicker, and in close range situations this is a wise choice. However, at range it doesn't matter too much, the extra 5-second rotation time. Anyway, the rest of the stats for the gun include 2,200 maximum HE damage with each shell, and if you get a penetration of your AP, it's 3,200. If you get multiple penetrations, that's a substantial amount of damage. However, as you probably well know, if you fire AP against heavily armoured battleships, you're not going to penetrate, and you're going to do spalling damage or surface damage to the deck of the ship and do very little. Fire HE in that circumstance, enemy cruisers at close range or broadside on, fire armor piercing, you'll likely penetrate them, and with your amazing rate of fire, kill them very quickly, if you can hit your targets. The destroyers of the game usually fire HE, sometimes the AP will work, but it usually over-penetrate. So in most circumstances, fire HE. You'll do a lot of fire damage if you set on fire, and you'll also do a lot of critical damage, knocking out steering and the engine perhaps. And also, if a enemy vessel, such as another Cleveland, is heading away like this, usually firing HE will work, because if he angles like this, they may, well, bounce off the side, again like this, or if he's heading towards you, like this, they'll bounce off the side and the sides here. This is not the case for all cruisers, but firing HE in that situation is probably the best bet. Moving on, AA defense, the second most amazing factor about this ship. It has a phenomenal amount of AA defense. It is feared at this tier for aircraft carrier drivers, because their planes will be swatted from the sky very quickly indeed. We have 20mm individual guns all over the ship. We have these dual 40mm Bofors guns, which are very nice, and we have the 127s, like I talked about earlier, the secondary armaments. Those of course have a 5 km range, 3.5 km range for the Bofors, and 2.1. So anything within around 2 km will be shot down very quickly, but within 2 km they will have dropped their armament. Faster aircraft at higher tiers, such as on the Shikaku, and I think it's the Lexington for the American aircraft carrier, they will be able to get their armament dropped very quickly before your AA gunners can shoot them down. Lower tier aircraft carriers, however, from tiers 4 up to tier 7 probably, or roughly, will be shot down most easily. Of course, be careful anyway. As you can see, there are no torpedoes on this. Absolutely none. That is the standard practice of the American cruisers from this tier all the way up to tier 10 with, I forgot the name of that ship, is it called the Des Moines? The Des Moines. So from Cleveland, Pensacola, New Orleans, Baltimore and Des Moines, no torpedoes, but from Omaha and Phoenix you do get torpedoes. That is the advantage that the Japanese have with the AO, but you have some very devastating torpedoes here. These 610mm long lance torpedoes, there's 4 on each side. However, they are mounted at the back, and you have a very limited arc therefore. But this isn't about the AO. Back to the Cleveland. The maneuverability is 32.5 knots of maximum speed, which is good. Can chase down certain ships. Definitely battleships, you can keep up with most cruisers, and destroyers of course will outrun you. But that's something you're going to have to expect. They're a lot smaller and a lot lighter and have powerful engines. 660 meters turning circle. I'll just check what the Oba has just to see a comparison. 710 meters, but it does go faster at 35 knots. So you get less speed, top speed, but you get a better turning, and 7.2 seconds rudder shift time, which is okay. You do have to be careful, however, if you get into some situations where there are a lot of islands, you have to plan in advance. But in the open ocean, this is not too bad at all. Concealment factors, you're detected from 13.3 kilometers on the surface, and your air detectability is 8.1 kilometers, which is something you should expect for a ship of this size. It is quite a big ship, but 13.3 kilometers is inside your 14.6 kilometer firing range, so you should be fine. Anyhow, the other things we should take a look at are the upgrades. No engine upgrade, you have 100,000 horsepower. which is pretty nice. Your starting fire control system allows you to fire at 13.3 kilometers. Get that upgraded as soon as possible to increase your effectiveness. The stock hull, as it were, the hull that you get originally, has the same amount of hit points as the fully upgraded, however, and you lose 2 AA points. Your AA defenses also go down by 6. You don't have the nice bow-4 guns to begin with. You have these quad 28mm, which are okay, but they have a worse firing range of only 2 kilometers. And like I was saying earlier, you can use the stock 152mm main batteries, or you can upgrade them to get a better rate of fire but a worse turn time of the turrets. It's up to you. The upgrades slots down here, I have the main battery mod. I want these turrets protected as much as possible from critical damage and repair times and such. I want to be fast, because this is what these cruisers rely on. They can't rely on their torpedoes as they don't have any. Main battery mod, even better rate of fire by 10%, and having plus 15% to the traverse speed negates the upgrade here to some extent. We have a damage control, minus 3% flooding, minus 5% fires. Of course, fires and flooding are the bane of all ships. And I have another version as well. Minus 15 to fire extinguishing and minus 15% to flood recovery time. We could perhaps use this propulsion or the steering, but I've chosen these two. Play around with it, see what you think. You could perhaps increase the firing range of your secondary turrets, or you could improve your AA. That is a valid strategy, but if there isn't any aircraft to shoot down, you're gonna probably have wanted to use the main battery here, or increase your firing accuracy, but the accuracy doesn't really matter when you have such a volume of fire in the air. Anyway, that's enough of the stats and talking the ship through. We'll have a look at a game I just had in the Cleveland. So you join me on the Land of Fire map, the latest edition in terms of the map roster, or the map rotation, and I am on a domination game. I'm in a tier 8 match, but we don't really see the tier 8s, so it doesn't matter too much. And to be honest, tier 8 battleships like that North Carolina, although they do have fearsome firepower, you can ruin their day by repeatedly setting them on fire. However, I don't for this match. The match, for me, consists of defending the sea point, or as I've already dubbed it, the Destroyer Cove, Destroyer Haven. It just is filled with destroyers because there are so many islands where, especially American and the more recent Soviet destroyers, can use their torpedoes in ambush tactics at very close range. So as you can see, the Cleveland's already at its 32.6 knot speed. The ship, therefore, as I said, can keep up with most cruisers. Some cruisers, of course, like the Ober, are faster, but destroyers will outrun you, and the battleships will also be easier to catch. Obviously, they're slower, until you get to the later tiers where they become faster again for the Americans, and the Japanese become ever slower, especially the Yamato. It's very big, very powerful armament, but very slow. And here you can see the rotation, or the traverse of the ship, the rudder shift time. That's what it is, the traverse speed of the tank I'm thinking of from World of Tanks or Armored Warfare. But anyway, we're going to head towards the sea point and see what we can do. We know there's destroyers in the area, and they certainly are going to be a little bit of a problem. There's a destroyer on the right hand side. In fact, there's 3 Farragut class destroyers, so they're all the same destroyer in terms of the ship, so we know what to expect. Farragut class destroyers have nice armament, very high rate of fire, low caliber rounds, but they can set you on fire as you're a much bigger and slower ship compared to them. They have better camera rating. Their torpedoes, whilst powerful and fast, they have a very poor range. I don't know about you playing the game right now, but I have had several issues with these shells here. When I'm in the game, I seem to suffer from micro lag, where the shells appear to still be in the air when they hit me and cause damage. This has also happened in armed warfare with the artillery, where the artillery appears to land half a mile away but still damages me for about 50 to 100 damage. Anyway, back to this. We see there's an enemy Farragut class heading towards us. We're not going to turn in because that would be stupid. We are within his firing range. He's become stealth, but we know he's around there. There he is again. We are getting hit by fire from the battleships over there. I think that's in New Mexico. Now, if you turned in, that would have happened. The torpedoes probably would have hit me in the side, although perhaps I would have been already safe turning in. But regardless, we managed to avoid them. You can see the rudder shift time is a little bit slow, but the torpedo had quite a wide arc in terms of the torpedo on the left hand side compared to the others dropped on the right hand side. Another friendly torpedo is not really a problem. However, we are now the only one defending C, with the possible help of the destroyer at B, if you can see on the bottom right hand side of the screen in the minimap. But we still have 3 enemy destroyers to deal with, including that one over there who's lagging a little bit there. Replays generally do lag a little bit, as you can tell. Sorry about that, nothing I can do. But we are hitting them, doing some critical damage, and if you see at the bottom left there, it says flag capture of the player, detonation. So we hit his ammo supply and crippled his ship by, well, basically exploding every ammunition that he had on the vessel. And he goes down. We get some nice damage, but he gets some flags in order to prepare himself for the next battle he plays, which is quite a nice system of saying, sorry, you got blown up in one shot, but here's something to make up for it. First shells, they are far too slow, but as you can see, he is turning, he is evading, but if you fire some in advance, we do manage to hit him and defend the base. I fire some on the left, some on the right, and I've just noticed there's an island in front of me. This is the first time I played this map on the right hand side. The last time I played it was on the left hand side, where the most of our team are. So I have to slow right down and reverse. Now this destroyer, he deploys his smoke, fair enough. But again, the rate of fire is far too much for him to deal with. We're only hitting him for 1 of our shells, but if we keep firing, we're bound to hit him. And there we go. More shells in. He's still lagging a little bit, can't do anything as I say. But we're hitting him for good damage. 1000. And there he goes. Very quickly dealt with that threat. If he got any closer, he probably would have been able to launch his torpedoes. And you can see that this is a whitewash. We've got ABC flags under control, 600 points to their 140. This is a guaranteed win. So I'm just going to speed it up a little bit so you don't have to see me turn very slowly, I know. There we go, we sped it up a little. There's an enemy Nuremberg, tier 6 cruiser as well for the Germans. I have got the Königsberg but not the Nuremberg yet. And there's a nice Citadel for 6,000 damage. Well, the Citadel was 3,200 plus the 3 other shells at him, so 6,000 damage in total. And if he's just going to go in a straight line, he's actually fixated on a friendly destroyer up there, the destroyer I was on about earlier. So we're allowed to shoot him quite a lot. However, as you can see, I'm pretty much inaccurate with my shooting, and I don't really take into account that I'm turning and going at speed. You can see his engine is definitely knocked out, as there is smoke and fire pouring out the top of one of the funnels there, or the funnel for the engine room in his ship. But regardless, you can see the nice rate of fire, and the fact that we can just clear up enemy ships like that. So that was 3 kills, 38 hits, oh sorry, a bit more than that, 43 hits, 1 citadel, 9 critical damage, 1 fire, and we defended the base 8 times. So we did what we needed to do, and we're going to move on to the next battle now, after having a look at the post-game results. So the post-game result here, 220,000, this is all premium account by the way, 220,000, almost 221,000 credits, 6,693 experience. This is a ×3 event on at the moment, and 335 free experience. We hit 43 target hits, 3 sunk, 1 fire, 1 citadel, and defended the base 8 times, and 9 lots of critical damage. Team score, we came top, 1,488 base, probably due to the kills and the fact that we defended one of the bases 8 times. We did very little damage, and we fired a hell of a lot of ammunition, almost 300 rounds of ammo and about 25,000 damage in total. Not really what the Cleveland can do. So we're going to take a look at a higher damage game rather, and show you the AA power as well. Let's cut to that now. Okay, so here we are in the second replay for the Cleveland. We are on an older map. We're on the Two Brothers map. I think it may have been changed a little bit, the islands to the right hand side. I think there's a few more of them, and also on the left I think there's a few changes. Anyway, we are in a better matchup this time. We're in a tier 6 maximum game. There are 2 enemy aircraft carriers, but they're both tier 5, and they are both class aircraft carriers. This means usually they are fighter heavy. I haven't played the Langley or the Cleveland. Not the Cleveland. Wow, we're playing the Cleveland now. Derp. I haven't played the Bow class, but I think they're both fighter heavy. Aircraft carriers aren't really my thing at the moment. Maybe when I get to tier 7, tier 8 for the Japanese, I might have a bit more fun. I know the midway class with the Americans at tier 10 is a very, very strong ship, and you should be scared of it if you're in a battleship. And any ship for that matter. But anyway, we have powered ahead towards the right hand side of the map, or as you can see for the left, it's sorry, on the bottom right, it's the left hand side of the map. We spawned in the north. We control A, they control B. They have quite a similar setup to us. They have 1 more destroyer, however, and we've noticed that there is a Furutaka tier 5. We've loaded AP, and that's nice 8 target hits and a citadel penetration. But we're not done yet. We've already reloaded, fired our full 12 blasts, and there's another 5 citadels, and all of his health is evaporated and he's gone. That is what you can do to lower tier cruisers who show you their nice citadels in a flat position like this. This is what this Ioba is doing as well, giving us a nice flat angle of attack. We did miss the majority of our shells at that time, but we still managed to do 1,000 damage, and the second shells in the salvo just go into that island in front of him. It's quite hard to target players behind cover, or players heading towards cover anyway. You can do it, but sometimes the game bugs out and thinks, I know, I'm going to shoot that island in front of you. But anyway, we've done a significant amount of work already. 13 target hits, 6 more penetrations, and some critical damage, and now we're firing high explosive on this New Mexico. a very slow battleship, but a very well armoured battleship, and it also has some significant firepower, so we should be wary of him. There's also another Furutaka who is heading away from us, but we are getting shot by... We're not getting shot by, but we're shooting down aircraft very easily. They're not even targeting us, they're targeting battleships. Shot down 2 of them. I deployed the defensive fire ability, something which I forgot to mention. You also get a fighter aircraft, and those bombers aren't going home. 5 enemy aircraft shot down. So we managed to shoot down about, well, a squadron of aircraft very quickly indeed, especially with the defensive fire. I kind of used the defensive fire a little bit wrong. Probably should have used it to disperse the drop of the bombs. That's the purpose of the defensive fire. It makes the attack of enemy aircraft less accurate. It was lining up nicely for us. Miss all of our shells, of course, you know. We aim a little bit too close to us. He's turning away. Managed to do over 3,000 damage there. But you can see, or hear as well, the sort of metallic ringing sound, meaning we only did some minor spalling damage in some of those shells. He's on fire, he's turning away, but he's turning towards us. Another citadel, another 6 target hits, torpedoes. That's one thing you may have noticed. The Oba was heading away from us. We get him another 2 citadels, and that is a huge amount of damage already. But anyway, the Oba, as I was talking about earlier, you can tell he is firing torpedoes usually when he turns away. That is the only time he can launch his torpedoes, as they have a very narrow arc. A lot of players may be thinking, he's just fleeing, and I think he was in that case. We do some nice damage on the New Mexico as he's fleeing. And that really was all I did for this game. I shot at this New Mexico for a lot longer, knocking out some of his defences, AA defences, secondary armament. Torpedoes at stern, they aren't going to hit us, they've got too wide an arc, and we aren't in their path anyway. But like I said, this is all I did for this game really. A significant amount of citadels, 1 enemy sunk, 6 planes hit, and some good damage overall. The rest of the game I won't show because it's just me sailing forward, then heading back to base, and then the base is defended before I get back anyway. So that was the Cleveland in the Two Brothers map in a tier 6 game, fighting against opponents of equal and lower tier. It is very destructive. Oh, look at this bogue. But like I said, we're not gonna get a shot on him. He goes behind cover and our shells miss. So we're gonna take a look at the end screen. We did win, by the way. And then I will conclude. So as we had already won our triple for the day, we still managed to get 170,000, 1,698 experience and 85 free experience, 58 target hits, 6 enemies shot down, 6 aircraft shot down, 1 critical damage, 1 enemy destroyed, and 9 citadels. So very nice indeed. Team score wise, we came 4th on the team. That bogue, as you can see, shot down 26 enemy aircraft, showing how it is a fighter orientated aircraft carrier, including, and the other bogue shot down 23. So they did the job for me pretty much, but I, still contribute to that. The enemies were all destroyed, other than that Minkaze, who managed to escape. But we still got 1132 base, and obviously a bit more for the premium account. 50,000 damage that time, very little in HE damage. Even with HE, it is quite hard to damage very heavily armoured ships, including the New Mexico. Setting him on fire would have done significantly more damage. You can see there, next to the New Mexico's name, it says 28 hits. So we hit him 28 times, some of which with AP, well, the first opening salvo, and the majority of high explosive, but we did very little damage with our 20 HE hits that connected. Let us now conclude back in the back in the port screen. So to conclude, the Cleveland, a tier 6 American cruiser, a very capable cruiser and probably one of my favourites I've played thus far, much better than the Phoenix and the Omaha, minus the fact it doesn't have any torpedoes like those two and the rest of the Japanese tech tree for the cruisers anyway. The AA is brilliant, the rate of fire is brilliant, speed is okay, the armour can be good if angled, not against really high caliber rounds, but lower caliber AP you can bounce somewhat reliably if angled well. Anyway, tell me your thoughts down below. Do you like the vehicle, the ship? Have you got one? Do you want to get one? Have you played it? Tell me if you like it or if you don't like it. Hope you enjoyed the review, and as always, I've been Geogen. This has been World of Warships with the Cleveland, and I'll see you chaps and chapettes in the next one.